Ladies and gentlemen, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. That's not just a catchy phrase. It's a truth that will eventually show up in every area of your life if you're not careful. We don't just wake up one morning with a strong marriage, a thriving career, financial peace, or a deep sense of purpose. These things don't happen by accident. They happen on purpose. And purpose takes planning. You can't keep drifting through life, hoping something good will come your way, but refusing to take the steps to prepare for it. You want a better future? Then it's time to stop leaving things to chance and start doing things with intention. Planning is simply making a decision in advance about what you're going to do. And when you do that consistently, you begin to see the fruit of those small, wise decisions. Some people say, well, I'm just waiting on a sign. I'm waiting for the right time. Can I lovingly tell you something? The time to start is now. The moment you realize you're not moving forward is the moment to stop and say, what am I doing? What is my plan? Because if you don't have one, life will hand you its own plan. And trust me, it won't be the one you want. There's a lie we often believe that says, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And yes, I believe in trusting the process, but that doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing. Faith doesn't eliminate the need for preparation. You can't ask for something you're not willing to prepare for. You want a promotion. Are you showing up early, learning, growing, serving with excellence? You want a healthy family. Are you investing time, listening, communicating? Or are you hoping love will cover all your neglect? We plan for things that matter. You plan your vacation, your wedding, your meals. But when it comes to your future, your calling, your growth, we just wing it. That's not wisdom, that's avoidance. And too often, it's fear in disguise. We're afraid to plan because we're afraid to fail. Or maybe we're afraid we won't measure up. But can I tell you, failure is not planning and coming up short. It's not planning at all and waking up one day wondering where all the time went. There's no magic to it. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect 5-year blueprint. Just start with what you know. Make a list, set a goal, take a step, write the vision. And then commit to showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Planning doesn't remove all obstacles, but it does give you the strength to face them with clarity and courage. So today, I challenge you, stop living on autopilot. Stop blaming the past. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Decide what kind of life you want and then start building it. One plan, one step, one decision at a time. Because if you don't, someone else will do the planning for you. And you may not like where they're taking you. Living intentionally is not something that happens by accident. It doesn't come from wishful thinking or vague hope that life will magically fall into place. Intentional living demands that we become planners, people who think ahead, prepare, and act on purpose. You can't live a life of purpose and meaning while treating each day like a blank slate with no direction. Without a plan, even your greatest potential will stay locked inside of you. You may have talents, dreams, and ideas bursting in your heart, but without structure, they'll remain just that, unrealized potential. Every day we wake up with an opportunity to move forward or stay stagnant. If you're not planning, you're likely reacting, and living a reactive life is exhausting. It means you're always catching up, always behind, always putting out fires. But when you start planning, even in small ways, you take back control. You begin to live on offense instead of defense. You stop being dragged by life and start directing it. It's not about obsessing over every little detail or controlling every outcome. It's about setting a direction and moving toward it, one step at a time. Think about how much we plan when it comes to things we care about. If you're hosting a dinner, you make a grocery list, clean the house, prepare the food, and make sure everyone knows what time to come. You wouldn't just say, I hope everything turns out okay, and then do nothing. You put time and thought into it. Why? Because it matters. So why do we treat our own lives, dreams, and futures with less care than a dinner party? Planning is a form of self-respect. When you take time to think about your future, set goals, and lay out a path to reach them, you are declaring, my life matters, my time matters, my purpose matters. You're acknowledging that your choices have weight, and that you're not just existing. You're building something. You're crafting a life, not waiting for one to show up. Now, that doesn't mean you'll get it right all the time. Life has its twists and turns. Sometimes your plans will fall apart. But here's the truth. A broken plan is still better than no plan. Because even in the failure, you learn. You grow, you adjust. You make a better plan next time. But if you don't plan at all, you won't even know what you're aiming for. And when you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. Intentional living starts with asking yourself the hard questions. What kind of life do I want? What kind of person do I want to become? What steps do I need to take to get there? You can't answer those questions in a rush. You have to slow down, quiet the noise, and really reflect. Planning requires stillness. It requires clarity, and in today's world, that's something we have to fight for. But it's worth it. Because once you have clarity, you start moving with confidence. And don't underestimate the power of a simple plan. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfection is a trap that keeps people from starting. You might not know the full picture, but you usually know the next right step. Start there, write it down, make it plain, then commit to showing up, even when it's not exciting, even when it's hard, because consistency is what turns a plan into progress. It's what transforms a dream into a reality. There's something empowering about living with a plan. It makes you more focused, more disciplined, more intentional with your time and energy. It gives you the ability to say no to distractions because you know what you're saying yes to. It strengthens your decision making because you have a direction, and it creates momentum, which is one of the most powerful forces in life. Once you gain a little progress, that progress starts working for you. But it starts with a plan. If you want to grow in any area of life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your spiritual life, it will take more than just desire. It will take design, and design starts with deliberate planning. It's choosing to sit down, think it through, and say, here's what I'm going to do. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it's necessary. Without it, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and one day you wake up wondering why nothing changed. You have what it takes to live with intention. You don't need a degree in planning or a fancy journal or an elaborate system. You just need to care enough about your life to take ownership of it. To say, I will not float through this season hoping something good happens. I will partner with that hope through action. Because the life you want is on the other side of the plans you're willing to make, and the discipline you're willing to walk out. Planning doesn't box you in. It frees you. It brings order to chaos. It helps you focus on what matters most. And it reminds you daily that you are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your choices. So stop waiting for life to hand you what you want. Start planning for it. Start preparing for it. That's how you begin to live intentionally. And that's how you begin to truly live. Faith without preparation is not faith at all. It's wishful thinking wrapped in spiritual language. So many people walk around declaring they're believing for something, a breakthrough, a promotion, a new opportunity. But if you look at their daily life, there's no sign they're actually preparing for what they claim to believe. Real faith doesn't just sit around hoping things will work out. Real faith rolls up its sleeves and gets ready for the blessing before it ever shows up. If you're truly believing for something, your actions should line up with your belief. Imagine a woman praying for a job saying, I believe God will open the right door. That's good, but what is she doing in the meantime? Is she updating her resume? Is she applying to jobs? Is she practicing for interviews? Is she waking up early and managing her time as if she already has the job? Because if she's not, then she's not preparing. She's procrastinating while using faith as an excuse. And there's a big difference. Preparation is evidence of expectation. When you're expecting company at your house, what do? You clean up. You buy food. You get the space ready. You prepare for what you expect. So why is it that when we're believing for big things in our lives, we often do the exact opposite? We sit still and wait, thinking preparation is optional. But faith is not lazy. Faith is not passive. Faith is active. It moves, it works, and it gets ready. Many times we're not receiving what we're asking for because we haven't made room for it. You're asking for more peace, but you haven't cleared out the chaos in your schedule. You're asking for financial breakthrough, but you haven't taken the time to learn how to manage the money you already have. You're asking for a meaningful relationship, but you haven't dealt with the bitterness and baggage from the last one. Preparation is part of faith. It's how you show that you're serious, that you're ready, that you're not just asking, you're expecting. People love to say, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. But that's not how anything meaningful is built. That attitude might feel spiritual, but in reality, it's a subtle form of avoidance. You can't leave all responsibility in the hands of fate and then wonder why you're stuck. Believing doesn't replace doing. God can open the door, but you still have to walk through it. He can give you the opportunity, but you still have to be equipped to handle it. That's what preparation does. It makes you ready to carry the very thing you've been praying for. Think about the times in your life when you wanted something deeply, but you weren't prepared to receive it. Maybe you got an opportunity, but lacked the discipline to keep it. Maybe the relationship came, but you weren't emotionally healthy enough to sustain it. That's not a failure, it's a lesson. It's a reminder that belief alone is not enough. Growth requires readiness. You can't fast, track maturity, and you can't skip the process of preparation if you want lasting success. And let's be honest, preparation isn't always exciting. It's usually quiet, repetitive, and often unnoticed. Nobody claps when you're doing the behind the scenes work, but that's where true faith lives. In the secret place where you're doing what needs to be done even when no one is watching. It's in those unseen moments of preparation that your character is built. That's when your confidence grows. That's where your resilience is formed. So when the opportunity finally does come, you're not overwhelmed. You're ready. Preparation also protects you from the pressure of success. You don't want a blessing you're not ready for. You don't want a platform your character can't support. You don't want a financial increase if you're still mismanaging small amounts. Preparing now means you'll be able to handle later. It builds the foundation you'll stand on when the spotlight turns on, when the pressure rises, when the responsibility grows. Without preparation, what was meant to be a blessing can become a burden. So don't mistake waiting with inactivity. If you're in a waiting season, don't just sit there, prepare. Study, build, grow, organize, simplify, heal. Do the work. Show that you believe something's coming by getting ready for it now. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't walk away and say, well, I hope it grows. He waters it. He weeds around it. He protects it because he expects a harvest. In the same way, your preparation is your watering. It's your way of saying, I know the harvest is on the way. You can't microwave growth. You can't bypass the process and expect lasting fruit. Preparation is the proving ground of faith. It's the space where trust is built and vision is refined. It's where the deep work is done, the kind of work that may not be flashy but will carry you when things get heavy. The more you prepare, the more peace you'll feel when opportunity knocks, because you won't be scrambling or panicking. You'll be ready. So if you really believe your breakthrough is coming, act like it. If you really believe the doors will open, get dressed and stand by them. If you believe in your future, invest in it now. Don't just speak faith, walk it out. Faith without preparation isn't faith at all. It's time to stop waiting passively and start preparing actively. Because preparation is the proof that you're expecting the promise to arrive, we often think that success has to come from one giant leap. Bold decision, a big break, a single turning point that changes everything overnight. But the truth is, lasting success is almost never like that. It's not about doing one thing perfectly once. It's about doing the right things consistently over time. That's where the real power is. Small, steady steps. Daily decisions, quiet discipline. These are the things that build a life of excellence and purpose. A simple plan, repeated faithfully, can change the entire direction of your life. Too often, we underestimate the impact of small actions. We look at our goals and dreams and think, I have so far to go, and we get discouraged. We want results quickly, so when change doesn't happen fast, we feel like it's not working. But that's not how growth works. A tree doesn't sprout overnight. Muscles aren't built in a single workout. Character isn't formed in one decision. All of it happens over time, through repetition, routine, and commitment. And the most successful people are not the ones who started with the most talent or the best resources. They're the ones who kept showing up, even when it didn't look like anything was happening. Consistency doesn't feel glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not going to get you applause or admiration in the moment, but it's one of the most powerful forces you can activate in your life. It builds momentum slowly at first, like pushing a heavy wheel. But once that wheel starts moving, once those habits start compounding, things begin to shift in ways you never imagined. Suddenly, you're not just hoping for change, you're living in it. The key is to simplify. You don't need a 20-step plan to change your life. You need 1 or 2 simple, clear actions that you can do every single day. Whether it's reading 10 pages of a good book, setting aside time to pray and reflect, exercising for 20 minutes, or saving a small amount of money. It's not about how big the action is. It's about how often you do it. Consistency beats intensity every time. Anyone can do something hard for a day. But if you want transformation, you need discipline for a lifetime. And yes, it's going to feel boring sometimes. You'll feel like nothing is changing. You'll be tempted to quit, to skip a day, to tell yourself it doesn't matter. But those are the exact moments when you have to push through, because those are the moments when your character is being formed. It's not about how you perform when you feel motivated. It's about how you show up when you feel nothing, when it's hard, when it's quiet, when no one sees it. That's when the real work is being done. Think about how many times you've started something strong and then stopped. That workout plan, that savings goal, that journal, that prayer time. It's not because you didn't care. It's because you didn't commit to consistency. And sometimes the problem isn't the plan, it's your relationship with repetition. We want something new all the time. We want stimulation, variety, excitement. But true success comes from mastering the mundane, from showing up again and again to do the work no one sees. When you embrace small, consistent plans, you stop living in extremes. You stop swinging from all in to burn, doubt. You find a sustainable rhythm that works for your life. You don't have to wait until Monday to start. You don't have to have the perfect setup. You just have to do what you can today with what you have. Because when you take small steps daily, you start to believe in yourself again. You build trust with your future. You prove that you are reliable to your own goals. There's something deeply powerful about looking back over a year and seeing how far you've come, not because of one big change, but because you didn't quit. You stayed faithful, you honored your routine, you made time for what matters. You took responsibility for your life. That kind of growth isn't loud, but it's unshakable. It roots you. It strengthens you. It carries you through the storms. Small, consistent action also protects you from being overwhelmed. If you try to change everything at once, you'll wear yourself out. But if you start small and stick with it, you'll start to see results. And those results will motivate you to keep going. It becomes a cycle of progress. One good choice leads to another. One healthy habit gives birth to others. And before you know it, your life starts to look completely different. Not because of one big moment, but because of all the little ones that added up. So whatever you're dreaming about, whether it's getting healthier, growing spiritually, building better relationships, or stepping into your calling, Stop waiting for a massive breakthrough and start committing to small, steady action. Make a plan you can actually stick to. Keep it simple. Be consistent. Trust the process. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be faithful. Because the life you want is not built in a moment. It's built every single day through the quiet, steady power of small, consistent plans. Avoidance is something we've all experienced. That feeling of knowing there's something you should be doing, making a decision, facing a truth, setting a boundary, having a conversation. But instead of dealing with it, you scroll on your phone, clean the kitchen, or suddenly remember every other task you've been putting off. It feels like procrastination on the surface, but deep down, it's more than that. It's fear. Fear in disguise. And fear is one of the most powerful forces that can derail a person's life, not because it's always loud, but because it's sneaky and subtle. Fear doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just whispers later. So many people avoid planning not because they don't care and not because they're lazy, but because deep down they're afraid they'll fail, afraid they'll be exposed as not good enough, afraid they'll make the wrong move, afraid that if they write the plan, they'll have to commit to it. And committing to something feels risky, because what if it doesn't work out? What if they mess it up? What if they start strong and then fall short again? So instead of facing that possibility, they stay stuck in the comfort of indecision. But the problem is, avoidance doesn't make the fear go away. It only gives it more power. The more you avoid, the heavier the weight becomes. That conversation you keep putting off, it starts to control your peace of mind. That goal you haven't taken action on, it begins to erode your confidence. Every time you turn away from the hard thing, it grows bigger in your mind. It starts to feel like a mountain when it's really just a hill. That's what fear does when we don't confront it. It exaggerates, distorts, and paralyzes. Planning requires courage. It demands that you believe in something you haven't seen yet. It forces you to confront your own insecurities, to acknowledge where you are and where you want to be. And that gap can feel uncomfortable. But discomfort is not a sign to retreat. It's a sign that you're stepping into something meaningful. If you only do what feels easy and familiar, you'll keep living the same version of your life over and over. The plan doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. It's about saying, this is what I want. This is what I'm working toward. This is what I'm willing to do. There's a false safety in avoidance. We convince ourselves that if we don't try, we can't fail. But that's a lie, because not trying is a form of failure. It's just a slower, quieter one. It doesn't sting right away, but over time, it leaves you with regret. And regret is far heavier than failure. When you try and fall short, at least you learn something. At least you grow. At least you know you gave it a shot. But when you avoid, you rob yourself of that experience entirely. You never give yourself the chance to see what could have been. Facing fear doesn't mean it goes away overnight. It means you choose to move forward in spite of it. You write the plan even if your hands shake. You take the first step even if your voice trembles. You stop waiting to feel ready. Because ready is a myth. Most people don't feel ready when they begin. They become ready through the act of beginning. That's why planning is such a bold and brave move. It's a declaration that fear doesn't get the final say. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the willingness to look fear in the eye and move anyway. When you confront the thing you've been avoiding, you take your power back. You remind yourself that fear is not a wall. It's just a fog. And once you walk through it, you realize it wasn't nearly as big or bad as it looked. The enemy of progress isn't failure. It's avoidance. Because when you avoid, you don't just delay the outcome. You delay your growth, your healing, your calling, and your joy. You can't afford to let fear rule your life. There's too much in you, too much potential, too much purpose. You're capable of more than you think, but you'll never know unless you're willing to face the fear and do it afraid. Planning is one of the most practical ways to begin that process. When you plan, you turn chaos into clarity. You turn anxiety into action. You go from being overwhelmed to being focused. And even if the plan doesn't go perfectly, you're already ahead, because at least now you're in motion. You've stepped out of the shadows of fear and into the light of faith. So if there's something you've been putting off, something you've been dancing around, something you've been excusing, ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Then be honest. Be gentle with yourself, but be bold enough to answer. Once you name the fear, you can start to disarm it. You can break its hold, and you can begin to make a plan, not out of pressure, not out of perfectionism, but out of faith, out of trust, out of the belief that you are not called to stay stuck. You are called to move forward. And forward begins with facing what you've been avoiding. Most people never rise above average, not because they're incapable, but because they never decide to live intentionally. They drift through life instead of designing it. They let the calendar, the crisis, the pressure, and the expectations of others tell them what to do, where to go, and who to be. Instead of leading their life, they react to it. But you can't live a life of purpose and fulfillment by accident. If you want to go somewhere specific, you have to choose your direction, and that begins with intentionality. It begins with a decision. I will not live by default. I will live by design. Living intentionally means that you stop letting life happen to you and start taking responsibility for what happens through you. It means you stop waiting for a better season or the right conditions and realize that the future is shaped by the choices you make today. It's easy to blame your circumstances, your upbringing, your resources, or even other people. But as long as you're blaming, you're not building. Taking responsibility is the gateway to transformation. The moment you say, "This is my life, and I'm not going to waste it," everything begins to shift. Intentionality requires clarity. You have to ask yourself, what do I really want? Who do I want to become? Where do I want to go? These are not questions to take lightly, and yet most people avoid them. They stay busy, distracted, numbed by entertainment or obligations, because it's easier than facing the discomfort of being honest. But without clarity, you're just spinning in circles. You work hard, but you don't move forward. You stay busy, but you're not fulfilled. You accomplish tasks, but you don't feel aligned. Clarity brings focus. And focus brings power. Once you're clear about your direction, you have to commit to it, not just in word, but in action. That means making decisions that support your values and goals, even when they're uncomfortable. It means saying no to things that look good so you can say yes to things that are truly aligned with your calling. Intentionality is not about perfection. It's about consistency. You may not always get it right, but you stay aware, you keep adjusting, and you remain committed. You live on purpose, not on autopilot. Living intentionally also means being a good steward of your time. Time is the one resource you can't get back. Once it's gone forever, and yet, we often treat it like it's unlimited. We waste hours on things that don't matter, then complain that we don't have time for what does. When you live intentionally, you treat your time like treasure. You guard it, you budget it, you invest it wisely. You begin to measure your choices not just by what they cost you in money or energy, but by what they cost you in time. And you stop letting everyone else write your schedule for you. Intentionality also changes how you respond to challenges. When you're living without purpose, problems feel random and unfair. But when you're living intentionally, you see challenges as part of your development. You understand that resistance strengthens you, that growth is uncomfortable, and that every setback holds a lesson. Instead of giving up when things get hard, you lean in. You ask better questions. You adapt your plan, but you don't abandon your purpose, because you're not living for comfort. You're living for meaning. Being intentional doesn't mean you'll have it all figured out. It doesn't mean every day will be smooth or every plan will succeed. It means that even when life throws curveballs, you stay rooted. You stay grounded in your purpose. You don't drift with the current. You navigate with a compass, and that gives you peace. Because no matter what happens around you, you know who you are, you know what you're called to do, and you know why you're doing it. Intentional living is also contagious. When you start living with purpose, it challenges the people around you, it inspires them, it reminds them that they don't have to settle for average either. Your discipline becomes a testimony. Your focus becomes a light. Your life becomes a message that says, you don't have to live stuck. You don't have to stay lost. You can live with meaning. You can live with direction. You can live with intentionality. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to wait for a new year, a big moment, or a perfect plan. You can choose to live intentionally today. You can make a decision right now to stop drifting, to stop settling, to stop blaming. You can choose to pause, to reflect, to ask yourself what matters, and then begin aligning your actions with that truth. That's where true change begins, not in a loud, public way, but in the quiet, personal choice to live on purpose. So if you feel like life is passing you by, if you feel like you're always busy but rarely satisfied, if you know deep down that you were made for more but you've been putting it off, this is your invitation. Not to strive harder, but to live smarter, not to do more, but to do what matters, not to wait, but to begin. Living intentionally isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment. It's the decision to show up with purpose, to make your life count, to walk in the direction of your destiny, one intentional step at a time. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and instantly think of punishment, restriction, or even legalism. But real discipline is none of those things. True discipline is a form of freedom. It's a gift you give yourself. It's not about living under a harsh set of rules. It's about taking control of your life instead of letting your feelings or circumstances control you. Discipline is the bridge between your desires and your destiny. You can dream all day long. You can write beautiful goals in a journal. You can pray and hope and talk about it. But without discipline, none of it will come to life. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. That's the part we struggle with. We live in a world that glorifies motivation, those exciting, emotional bursts of inspiration that make us want to jump out of bed and take action. And while motivation is wonderful, it's unreliable. It comes and goes. It's not steady. Discipline, on the other hand, is dependable. Discipline shows up on the days when you're tired, discouraged, stressed, or tempted to quit. It's not based on how you feel. It's based on who you are and what you've committed to. When you make a plan for your life, you'll always face resistance. Your old habits, your insecurities, and even the voices of people around you will try to pull you back into comfort. But discipline helps you stay anchored. It reminds you that you're not building your life on convenience. You're building it on conviction. And conviction requires sacrifice. You can't grow without letting go of something. Maybe it's a bad habit. Maybe it's a toxic relationship. Maybe it's just the comfort of staying the same. But something has to go if you want to move forward. Discipline is also what builds your credibility with yourself. Think about how many times you've made promises to yourself and then broken them. I'll wake up earlier. I'll stop wasting time. I'll eat better. I'll work on that project, and then you don't follow through. Every time that happens, a little part of you loses trust in yourself. But when you start keeping your word, when you say you're going to do something and you actually do it, you begin to rebuild that trust. You begin to believe in your ability to change. You prove to yourself that you are reliable. That's what discipline gives you. There's something powerful about being able to say no to yourself. Not in a way that shames you, but in a way that strengthens you. Saying no to another hour of scrolling. Saying no to an extra helping when you're already full. Saying no to procrastination. Every no is actually a yes to something better. Yes to health. Yes to focus. Yes to growth. Yes to purpose. Discipline helps you stop living for short-term comfort and start living for long-term joy. And let's be honest, discipline is hard in the beginning. It's not fun. Your mind will resist. Your body will complain. You'll want to negotiate with yourself. Just one day off. Just this once. But if you can push past that initial resistance, If you can stay with it long enough to see results, something shifts. Discipline begins to feel good. It creates momentum. It gives you structure and confidence. It starts to feel less like a burden and more like a rhythm. And before you know it, the thing that once felt hard becomes your new normal. Discipline doesn't mean you never fall short. It means you don't stay down when you do. Everyone messes up. Everyone has off days. But a disciplined person doesn't let one bad day turn into a bad week or month. They get back up, they reset, they recommit, and they keep moving forward. That's the beauty of discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Discipline also sets you apart. In a world that's full of distractions, temptations, and shortcuts, discipline is rare. Most people quit when it gets hard. Most people look for the easy way. Most people settle for average. But if you're willing to be disciplined, you can rise above that. You can live with excellence. You can go further than you ever imagined, not because you're better than others, but because you're more consistent, more focused, more committed, and here's the truth: discipline multiplies. Once you master it in one area, it starts to spill over into others. You start eating better, and suddenly you have more energy. You use your time wisely, and now you have space to think and grow. You say no to distractions, and now your creativity comes alive. Discipline isn't just about one area. It transforms your whole life. It brings order. It brings peace. It brings progress. So, if you've made a plan for your life, if you know where you want to go and who you want to become, don't just hope it happens. Don't just wish or talk about it. Discipline yourself. Show up daily. Put in the work. Stay consistent, even when it's boring or hard. And trust that every small act of discipline is a step closer to the life you were created to live. Because you're not here to be average. You're here to live with intention, passion, and purpose. And discipline is the tool that will help you get there.